a lot of the people are bitching about affordable housing. That's gone. Young people will never be able to buy a house when it costs as much as it does now.
Oh, because those young people think that they have to turn their nose up at middle America, and they're only a normal person if they live in the coastal areas that have went out of their way by politicians admitting that they're trying to destroy the middle class, to only have servants that serve the higher class. Heard it out of a congressman out of California. I lived in the office. I slept on a cot for 1 year. I opened the store. I closed the store. I went into the office. Every couple of days, I went and got a hotel room so that I could take a shower. I know the mentality and the grit or lack of grit that our society possesses. I am the type of person that I would much rather not find good shows or series when they come out. I would rather become aware of them
the whole way.
Yeah, I would rather become aware of them 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons out in general, so that when I finally do discover them, I'm able to actually binge watch. So everybody,
I think I know where this is going.
Well, I mean, you won't catch this piece of it, but I mean, everybody has, I'm a Kevin Costner fan. I mean, as far as the dude's, he's got a lifetime of film that he's really does some good stuff, but I've heard so much about Yellowstone that I'm like, okay, I finally did check out Yellowstone. And I'm like, everybody says, who's your favorite character? And I'm like, okay, Kevin Costner. I resonate with that character. The writers are good. He's really got some good ones. I haven't seen it. So. Oh, that you definitely got to see it. But great names. You know how at the bottom of the actual clip, if you pause it, it will show you who is in the scene, and it will show you a picture and show you their real name and show you their character name. Okay, so, I
haven't watched anything on Amazon yet.
Okay, and this is a feature on Amazon that if you pause it, it will show you the name of an individual, or it'll show you a picture, and it'll show you their cast name, and then it'll show you their real name. Yes,
okay, gotcha.
So, and I mean, this just struck me that there is a character in the movie, and his name is Mo. And Mo is the head of security and the police force for the Indian tribe in the area. And when I paused it, it looked down there, and his name was Mo Brings Plenty. And his real name is Mo Brings Plenty. And I thought, that is so freaking cool, because I mean, for the dude's pretty quiet in general, but when he speaks, he brings a lot of wisdom, and he's got a certain calmness about him in general. But I started thinking about that, and I'm like, what a cool name, Mo Brings Plenty.
So the question is, did they write that part for him, or did they switch his character name to his real name? Is that actually his real name?
No, that was the thing, is that it lists your character name and your real name, and everybody else has got their character names, and his was two. Mo Brings Plenty, Mo Brings Plenty. And I thought he brought his real name to the show, and I'm like, for an Indian name, that doesn't surprise me at all. Matt's getting into the Google. Yeah. Because
keep going.
Oh no, the thing, I mean, I got to admit, because
that is his name.
Yeah, there is if you like Tombstone, if you like Young Guns, if you like those old westerns,
great movies.
This is taking that environment and showing what it looks like in the 21st century, where you have all of the civilization and technology, yet you still have that old cowboy mindset and
Cowboys and Indians.
Yes, correct. Totally.
New age.
On Cowboys and Indians, and the effects of civilization and population and politics and government influence. And I mean, and then in Montana, which I didn't think about this until I looked, but I mean, Montana borders with Canada, which tells you there's some really brutal winters that go on up there. But the scenery, the backstops of the show are so freaking cool.
That's the scariest state I've ever been to.
I know, and I mean, and the thing is this is where I was like, I want a daughter like Beth. Like, this chick is loyal to her father. She has told many people in the show, like, I agree with you that's exactly what I would do. But that's not what my father wants, and that's not what we're doing. And I mean, like, this chick is hardcore. It's like, what do you do for a living? I ruin careers for a living. And I mean, she does. Like, the chick that they picked for the part, she plays it great. Rip, the dude that is Cole Hauser, I think is his name, and he was the gangster in, I believe it was Fast and Furious 2, when they were down in Florida, and Tyrese came into it. And I mean, he plays that role as the head wrangler so well. It was like an awesome story. And I got to laugh about this, because I'm like, the Julius Filez is supposed to be about small business. And I mean, but the thing is, it's like, in so much of that stuff, when it comes to small business, the glitz and the glamour out there, and you're supposed to want to be a billionaire. And I'm like, I don't subscribe to all of that stuff. You got to live a certain amount of life in general. And I really like really great shows. I appreciate great actors. I appreciate great writing. And they really picked a good cast. They picked a good backdrop. The storyline, like, I'm stoked for the second half of season 5 to be coming out later this year. If you have not seen it, and you like if you like Young Guns or Tombstone, like, man, you after the first season, you will be sucked in by this. Like, it was awesome.
And it's like, it's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it.
You will not regret it. Okay, so let's change subjects into to something more real. I came across this article, and it's like, I've said these things before, and I love when I come across somebody's writing, or somebody has summarized or iterated in a way that I'm like, oh, that this really does get my point across. Because I mean, I've long said that I think, what was that, Joe Rogan? What is it? Soft people create hard times create hard people create soft times. And the point of it is that when,
I don't know if he came up with that, but I think he was just,
he recited it, and that was that was the first person that I heard it come out of. But I've long said that, like, this generation, and they'll pop off at me, like, I don't know how many times I get called a boomer, and I'm like, one, respect your elders. Don't be a dick. I'm not a boomer.
That's a boomer statement.
Yeah, that's I'm a proud Xer, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for the boomers. And then I really started thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what is sickening in this day and age is that everything is about identity politics. And then I heard somebody say that in our civilization, that there has been over 70,000 generations in mankind. And I'm like, at what point did we start labeling generations? What was the generation before boomer? What was it that just made people say, oh, we have to label generations, obviously, so that we can separate them and try and degrade them and talk like they don't know? And I'm like, history repeats itself. Have some respect for your elders, and have some appreciation for what they sacrificed, for what they contributed in order to be able to give you the better life that you have been living. And while all of this generation and Americans are talking about how hard it is, I'm like, grow the fuck up. There are generations that literally didn't even have plumbing. But this woman wrote this.
There's been more generations that didn't have plumbing than by far that did.
And that's what I said, that this chick summarized this. So it's like, I want to read this article, and then I think that it like gets the point across in general. She starts off by saying, written by a 26-year-old college student by the name of Alyssa Algren, who is in graduate school for her MBA. And she titles it AOC and the Blind Generation. My generation is blind to the prosperity around us. I'm sitting in a small coffee shop near Florida trying to think of what to write about. I scroll through my newsfeed on my phone looking at the latest headlines of presidential candidates calling for policies to quote-unquote fix the so-called injustices of capitalism. I put my phone down and continue to look around. I see people talking freely, working on their MacBooks, ordering food they get in an instant, seeing cars go by outside, and it dawned on me, we live in the most privileged time in the most prosperous nation, and we've become completely blind to it. Vehicles, food, technology, freedom to associate with whom we choose. These things are so ingrained in our American way of life, we don't give them a second thought. We are so well off here in the United States that our poverty line begins 31 times above the global average. 31 times. Virtually no one in the United States is considered poor by global standards. Yet in a time when we can order a product off of Amazon with one click and have it at our doorstep the next day, we are unappreciative, unsatisfied, and ungrateful. Our unappreciation is evident as the popularity of socialist policies among our generation continues to grow. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently said to Newsweek, talking about the millennial generation, our entire generation, which is now becoming one of the largest electorates in college, came of age and never saw American prosperity. Capital letters. Never saw American prosperity. Let that sink in. When I first read that statement, I thought to myself, that was quite literally the most entitled and factually illiterate thing I have ever heard in my 26 years on Earth. Many young people agree with her, which is entirely misguided. My generation is being indoctrinated by a mainstream narrative to actually believe we have never seen prosperity. I know this firsthand. I went to college. Let's just say I didn't have the popular opinion, but I digress. Why then, with all of the overwhelming evidence around us, evidence that I can see even sitting at a coffee shop, do we not view this as prosperity? We have people who are dying to get into this country. People around the world are destitute and truly impoverished. Yet we as a young generation Yet we have a young generation convinced they've never seen prosperity, and as a result, we elect some politicians who are dead set on taking steps towards abolishing capitalism. Why? The answer is this. My generation has only seen prosperity. We have no contrast. We didn't live in the Great Depression or lived through 2 world wars or the Korean War, the Vietnam War, nor did we see the rise or fall of socialism and communism. We don't know what it's like to live without the internet, without cars, without smartphones. We don't have a lack of prosperity problem. We have an entitlement problem and an ungratefulness problem, and it's spreading like the plague. I could not have said it any better myself, and it came from a 26-year-old that is at least awake and aware of the ridiculous BS that our young generation is buying into and that our completely ignorant politicians are spouting.
I mean, overall statement, I do agree. But a lot of the people are bitching about affordable housing. That's gone. Young people will never be able to buy a house when it costs as much as it does now.
Oh, because those young people think that they have to turn their nose up at middle America, and they're only a normal person if they live in the coastal areas that have went out of their way by politicians admitting that they're trying to destroy the middle class, to only have servants that serve the higher class. Heard it out of a congressman out of California. That's part of the problem. Like, the middle class is actually what built America.
Right. The middle class is being killed off.
Yeah. By And how
by
is,
both sides.
No, yes, no. That's what I said. Apolitical AF. I hate both sides equally.
No. I mean, like the rich people are trying to get as much as they can, which pulls from the middle, and the people who know how to take advantage of the system are draining the government resources, which coincidentally comes from the people in the middle.
But the only reason that can happen is because of the BS politics that's being spewed out of Washington and what people are willing to so stupidly believe and vote for. Because if you voted for different people with a different message, you would have a different result.
Somewhat.
I mean, you say somewhat.
You never get the people who are talking. You don't see any libertarians getting any traction anywhere.
No, because people that's...
The powers that be and the money and the politics have purposely kept it a two-party system so they can easily control the two heads of both parties.
Well, and I started listening to another podcast where this guy, he pointed out a really good point that he was like, it's the technology companies that are going to be the next superpower, that are going to bring on the next Cold War. Like, no matter whether you agree with Trump or not, you literally had technology companies deplatform the most powerful position in all of the world while he was in office. That did not come from the UN. That did not come from the Senate or the House. That came from technology companies literally deplatforming, censoring, and stripping him of his voice to the masses.
I mean,
it's not about him. It's about they did that.
True. But no other president said this shit that he said. So,
publicly.
Yeah, let's be clear on that.
Okay, because I'm a firm believer that the politicians that came before him are all way worse than he could ever be. The things that are coming out,
because he can't concentrate.
That's BS. But the things that are coming out about our previous presidents, like the dude just
Great
doesn't
people.
compare.
They're all just fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you're telling yourself that so that you just don't wake up to the...
Yeah, it's easier to accept.
Somebody standing over you going, "Oh, you said too much."
Yeah, well, I mean...
Night.
Hey, go back to sleep
Yep.
now. Hey, they did admit that we have aliens, so, I mean, that's a step in the right direction. Right?
No, it's just that, I mean, because on the nicer side of it, I'm just the big, like, find the right perspective. Change your perspective, change your life. Like, I'm very appreciative. I'm to be crude. I'm very appreciative that I can shit in the toilet and flush it, and it washes my feces away. Like I can get yes, I can get that basic about finding the perspective of gratitude when I look at all of the generations and the hundreds and thousands of years that people did not have that ability. Like it stuck with you. That's
all of my grandparents did not have running water in their first house.
I mean,
and it was
never
like, so
mind.
you had to go get water, bring it in, heat it up. You want a warm bath? It's not like, oh, it just
and that's
comes out warm. No,
never mind. Never mind AC. I mean,
then I mean, look at me. I love my AC. It's a little hot in here.
Then you, for those of you, I mean, I understand, especially in this day and age, most of you have never ridden horseback. Well, let me tell you, like, it took me a long time to fall in love with walking, but walking is the slow way of getting around. And up until the automobile, it was horseback. And it's like it takes a special kind of person to acclimate to horseback. To learn how to ride. No, it is not whatsoever.
There are not shocks.
No, I mean, you can ride with the horse or against the horse. Either way, it's a little bit painful or a lot painful, but there's still...
I have to think about it every time I drive up here. I'm driving up here in an hour. 100 years ago, somebody...
Yeah, that was, as they say in the Indians,
that side of the state.
That was 5 sunsets, and yeah.
Then there's hills, and I'm like, I don't even understand how you got your carriages over these hills.
And that's the thing right there, is it's like, for all of the technologies that we enjoy, watching Yellowstone was almost a hearkening back to protecting the land and keeping us from raping the land, and keeping it pure and living with the land, not on the land, and depleting it of its resources, where it's like there's a certain
We've
appreciation.
taken a weird turn here.
I know, for going back to simpler times. Because again, it really I'm pretty grateful for the times that, because I've said that, you know what, I probably would have been better to come up during the boomer generation, because for the technology that is available to us, there was still originality that was able to be had. Like, the boomer generation is what brought us McDonald's and Taco Bell and the internet.
It was also easier to be a extremely dependable, hardworking person and succeed in life then than it is now, because now it's just throw people at it and technology's running it. Just look at Walmart.
And that's the thing, is that, like, for a time, the people that could just pound away at a keyboard could make the mass of money. And they pounded away at the keyboard so well, they introduced AI that's going to get rid of those people first. Like, that, it's the knowledge-based workers had their time in the sun, but then they created something that the first thing it does is replace the need for them. That's and we are going back to the workers, because I did. Did you see the UPS settled?
Yes, I've seen that.
The average worker, $49 an hour. Yeah, and I mean, do that math.
Yeah, I mean that I don't know if it's the average. I thought that was the cap.
It might have been the cap, but I mean,
it takes, I think, 16 years to get there. But
oh, really? And that's
a long time. Yeah,
that's a Teamsters thing, because with the UAW, you escalated in 3 years. You went from base pay to top pay in 3 years.
I don't know enough to speak about it as fact, just TikToks. But people said, like, you got to go work in the distribution centers for 6 to 10 years before you can even become a driver. Then you got to be a driver for 5 or 6 years to finally reach cap.
And you know what? I'm not mad about that, because that's
you have to do the shit job to get the little bit better job.
Well, and
but there is no AC in those trucks.
Because that's the other. Because I'm like, again, anything worth having, it's not going to be easy,
and it shouldn't be easy.
No, and delayed gratification is something that I think that it's a lost art, but. Like I said, entrepreneurship is too glamorized, and it's factually false to reality. But the big thing that you're talking about there, it's developing skill sets. Like, you can start in here and you're getting a good livable base wage, but if you want to get here, the evolution is years of developing skill sets that apply to get you here. You don't just wake up and say, I want to be here.
Like, this doesn't look as fun, but I really just want to jump over here.
That's like I'm waking up going, oh, you know what? I decided I wanted to be a millionaire today. I'm going to check my bank account tomorrow morning when I open up, and there's going to be $1 million in it. No, they didn't work that way. There is many skill sets that have to be developed and has to be applied both individually and conjoiningly to get to millionaire status in general.
Well, I mean, that's because they promote all these overnight success stories, and it's like very rare is it overnight.
Exactly. Well,
unless you win the Powerball.
Because the thing is, and that it is a huge feat to be able to develop a business that does $1 million in revenue. It is close to an impossible feat to develop a business that produces $1 million in profit. Because those are night and day statements, and most people just don't realize that. But that's what I have been trying to tell and teach people inside of these businesses for so many years. You see these dollars coming in, and you automatically think, oh, Jason is rich because all I'm doing is being paid to collect all of these dollars that are going into the cash register, and he's just pulling them out of the cash register and putting them in his bank account. And it's like, that is not factually true.
There is a long line of hands.
There we go. There is a long line of hands that if you take that dollar, you break it down into 100 pennies, and you are going to find out that there is 70 to 90 hands that they want their piece of the pie, and you're going, okay, out of that dollar, how many of those pennies do I get to keep? So if I do $1 million in revenue, which we do millions of dollars in revenue, but the point is, at $1 million in revenue, if I keep 10 pennies for every dollar, that means I profit $100,000 for doing $1 million in revenue. Okay, in order to achieve that $100,000 in profit, and then it's not done, because then the government doesn't just take a penny. Like, trust me, their hands are bigger than the rest of them.
Yeah, they got real big stick, too,
yes,
if you don't feel that hand.
Exactly. But the point is, you have to solve 100,000 problems in order to achieve that $100,000 before the government comes in and takes their pound of flesh. And it is a pound of flesh, because I'm like, you make $100,000. Okay, well, by the time they all get it done, they're taking 40%. I mean,
between federal and state. Yep.
Yeah. So I want to say, what was it? It's like only 5 to 10% of the people ever actually achieve $1 million a year in revenue. But at $1 million a year in revenue, you're only talking about $100,000 a year in profit, which is what you get for putting in all of the work and coordinating all of the efforts and solving all of the problems before the government takes their pound of flesh. And only select minority ever do something well enough to actually achieve the $1 million in revenue. We are talking about 1% ever gets above $5 million a year in revenue, because if you're trying to get a 10% to the bottom line, you got to do $10 million a year in order to actually get $1 million, to which the government's really happy to take their 40% of that. And
Ching.
Yes, there are vehicles that you can use to lessen that, because, I mean, much the same way that I've said, never piss off the health department or the fire department, because their code book is this big. And even if today you are up to code, the code is always adding to, much like our laws never sunset. The new laws are always being added on.
They got job security.
Correct. The rules are always changing in general. So just when you think you've got it dicked, like, no, that they changed the rules. Again, solving problems. I'm not, honestly, when I really think about it, I'm not exactly sure what rabbit hole I was going down with that, other than to just generally say,
damn it, stop taking so much.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks. And I've had, I don't know how many times that, oh, if Julius can do it, I can do it. And I'm like, water's warm, because I do know I take a great pleasure in solving problems, and I handle stress really well. So I do know that I make it look easier than what it is. But here I am, authentically, transparently trying to tell you, it's not that freaking easy.
Look at the gray hairs.
You know what? But I'll go back to Matt. I mean, like, this dude's been with me for 5 years. Maybe I have made it look easy, but you have also been involved in all of the problems and all of the solutions. And
I wouldn't say it's been easy.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. And maybe,
I got gray hairs coming.
Maybe to the outside world, I make it look easy, but I'm sitting here being honest with you, and like, it's not. It's not easy at all. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, it really is
I mean, every day is a battle one way or another. I mean, what distributor wants to just silently raise something up on you, and if you don't catch it, hell, they're just going to keep charging that extra little bit.
Yes, because I'm like, in order to run food and beverage, I bring hundreds of items into the store, line items, and all of those items have to be combined with each other to produce an end product that I'm going to serve to you. Well, do you think my distributors literally try and be, oh, he's not going to pay attention to his cheese cost, or I'm sorry, he will pay attention to his cheese cost because it's one of his major costs, but he won't so much pay attention to his heavy whipping cream or his garlic or his seasonings.
Oregano,
yeah. So we're going to jack up the price here because this is where he's looking over here. And ultimately, it's your overall cost of sale that determines how many pennies do you actually get to the bottom line. And that's where I said the food and beverage industry is probably the easiest industry to get into, but it is the hardest industry to actually survive, much like, yes, thrive in, because there are so many moving parts. And let's be real, when you're dealing in food and beverage, you're not going to pound your chest. Like, I don't pay everybody $100,000 a year, so you're not dealing with that type of employee. I deal with a lot of kids, and I'm a big believer in second chances. And you know what? People that have screwed up in life have to take lower positions in life, so I deal with a lot of second chancers. And I'm here to tell you that as much as I believe everybody deserves a second chance in life, most people fuck up that second chance in life. So that brings its own problems.
But it's also really rewarding when you give somebody that second chance and you get one that actually does take it and turn their life around.
Thank you for saying that, because I can remember some frustrating times where you were like, don't do it. And I'm like, no, I'm really trying to, I believe everybody deserves a second chance. It's
we've
just that
definitely had more that ended up fucking it up.
That's what I'm saying.
We've
is
had
that
some really great ones? That
I'm saying probably 1 in 20. I'm just pulling a number out of my ass.
I would cut that in half.
1 in 10? Nine. I don't know. I think that might be being too giving, to be honest with you. I'm sitting there going, I'm 18 years in. I've employed over, at least 400 people. I'm saying, yeah, when it comes to whether they appreciate or whether they screw up that second chance, yeah, I'm gonna stick with that 1 in 20, because I'm gonna say that I've tried to give third chances and none of them have worked out, and I will never advise anybody give somebody a third chance. If they screw up a second chance, I promise you they will screw up a third chance. I've tried giving third chances and I have regretted it every single time.
I've never seen a third chance work.
No, it's not. It's just, that's because I've told them that if it will come out of somebody's mouth, they will follow through with it. So if they don't have enough control of their mouth, that in a heated moment, they will talk about walking out. They will talk about quitting. If it comes out of their mouth, it's an idea planted in their own head, and it's only a matter of time before they actually follow through with it. Yes, it is. And I am the first to say that emotional decisions, 9 out of 10, are the wrong decision. And I'm literally sitting here going, I made an emotional decision to leave Chrysler, and it was the wrong decision. I can only make that statement knowing what I know today. I would have never been able to make that statement had I not left Chrysler. I would have always been thinking about the woulda, shoulda, coulda, what if, what could have been. I'm on the other side of it now, and I'm like,
I think getting to know me is at least worth quitting Chrysler.
Wow, that's funny. I will say that because it's okay. What I'm about to say, there's some we've got to split some hairs, but I'm going to make a generalized comment. So I was having a conversation with a woman, and she was pissed that in particular meat market closed down, and she decided that she was going to open up a meat market. And I was like, you're dumb, don't do it. And understand that is what came out of my mouth. I was not trying to be mean to her, and we had more of a conversation. I was just more blunt to get my point across. I've been there, done that. I know what I'm doing. I've cleared all of this. I've gotten to the other side of it. But when she was like, why? I leaned in and said, because I know you, and you do not have what it takes to make the pain and sacrifice necessary to actually see an opportunity like that through to actual profitability. And most people don't. So she looked at me and she was like, is that what you tell other people? And I looked down at Rebecca and said, tell her. And Rebecca was like, yeah, that's what he tells everybody. I tell everybody, do not go into business. Work for somebody else. You don't have what it takes. You will not make the sacrifices necessary. You will not endure the pain that it takes to actually see something through. The amount of time that you think it's going to take, you are kidding yourself. The amount of money that you think it's going to take, you are kidding yourself. The amount of sacrifice that you think that you can tolerate and endure, you are kidding yourself. Do not go into business. Stay out of it. Go to work for somebody else. Put in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. Make your money, and then do appropriate things with that money. And I'm making a by and large statement. And the individual that looks at me and says, He doesn't know what he's talking about. I know I can do it. You might be the person. You might be the one person. But when I make statements, I make by and large statements because everybody has to place their bets in life. So if you line 10 people up, I'm going to tell all 10 of you, do not go into business. You do not have what it takes. And I'm right 9 out of 10 times. Yeah, the 10th person, I'm wrong. And if all 10 of them heed my word, one of them will regret it. And the other 10 or the other 9, I'm doing a huge favor to them and for their families and for their friends and for anybody that they might affect, because when you go down and you're drowning, you're reaching for other people to pull down with you.
Every string you can grab.
Exactly. And I'm that's what I'm like. I understand the human mentality of survival and of being willing to take risk and of being willing to try. And I'm not taking any of that away, but I've lived it and I know the statistics, and generally I size people up well. And I'm like, I have still yet to have somebody come to me that they look like that they have the physical and mental fortitude to actually get it done, that they have a realistic timeline for what it's going to take to get it done, that they've totally thought it through, that they have the resources. And I understand that you're going to have the haters that are going to be like, look at this person and look at I get it. They are the 1 in 100. They are the 1 in 1,000. Nobody talks about, I hate to use the trail of tears of all of the devastation from all of the many that it did not work out for.
Well, I think the important piece of this is the one piece you're leaving out is that you've went through this.
That's
because tell them what your goal was in the very beginning.
Oh, I wanted the day one, 50 stores in 5 years. I had delusions of grandeur. I was going to have private jets, and I was going to be this mogul and living this fabulous billionaire lifestyle where I did what I wanted
in 5
in
years.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and that's where I come back to Mark Cuban talk, where he pops off to people about entrepreneurs. Yep, I was a entrepreneur just like all of you, and I'm here to tell you what I sacrificed. Most of you won't be willing to sacrifice. You will run back to a job. You will fail. You will throw in the towel. You will be like, fuck this. This is not worth it. And you're right. It's not worth it.
I'm going to be like, damn, he's being harsh, but no, he's being real.
I'm just being honest, because I am sitting here now going, I committed when I left Chrysler to working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, to the point that I would have retired from Chrysler because I wanted the apples to apples comparison. Did I make the right decision to step out on my own? Okay, that date is 14 months away. 9/12/2024 is the date that I would have had exactly 30 years in at Chrysler, and I would have walked away, and I would walk away with insurance, pension, and whatever I could tuck away or whatever I would have invested.
Till the market crashes and it all disappears. But yeah.
And through that entire 30 years, there would have been, I would have woke up every day only being responsible for myself and my own actions. I would have had paid time off and vacations. I would have had full health care benefits throughout the entire journey. My kids and my family would not have been sleeping on pins and needles wondering whether I was going to get it done by the end of the week to be able to pay the bills. I would have always had nice cars to drive. I would have always had a decent house over my head because, yeah, I mean, I don't talk about this a lot, but I mean, some of these people that know me know my story. For 6 years, I didn't have the ability to provide a roof over my head. I lived underneath the store. Inside of those 6 years, I had a store that I couldn't afford to support myself, so I lived in the office. I slept on a cot for 1 year. I opened the store. I closed the store. I went into the office, every couple of days, I went and got a hotel room so that I could take a shower. Like, I know the mentality and the grit or lack of grit that our society possesses. I'm sorry, but by and large, you motherfuckers are soft, and you do not have what it takes, and you are not willing to endure the pain to actually see it through to the other side. It is like a diamond, and the pressure that you go through, you come out a completely different individual. You are not the same person that went into the process. And I'm just being real. The major success stories that are out there, the Patrick Bet-Davids, so uber amounts of respect and admiration, because I know what I went through to get where I am, what he went through to get where he is, what he accomplished in the same amount of time. I'm
not familiar with his complete story.
Oh, okay. And I mean, him, Andy Frisella is another one. I mean, you want to, Grant Cardone. I mean, Grant Cardone didn't have shit, didn't have two nickels to rub together up until 50 years old. It's what he did between 50 and 65, because it took all of the pain and sacrifice and walking this path and learning all of these lessons and barely getting by to make it until he hit his stride at 50, and it was what he did from 50 to 65 that the dude is a billionaire today. I mean, he has billions and billions of dollars worth of real estate amassed. It's given him billions of dollars in free cash flow, but he didn't have any of that stuff in his younger years.
For the majority of his life.
That's what I'm like. You don't realize what goes into it. And I'm saying all of this, and somebody's going to be like, well, what about this person? And well, what about this person? Yeah. Do you think you're a Peyton Manning? Do you think you're a Tom Brady? You're not.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, that's what I said. You're referring to a name.
Also, though, they work hard.
No, and that's what I'm saying. And I mean, I'm sure that if you ask them, like, Peyton is grateful for Archie. Tiger is grateful for his father, because I mean, I remember watching I was about to say the Serena sisters, the tennis girls.
The Williams.
Yeah, the Williams. Like, you go back and you watch that movie, like, their father was like, they were in boot camp training from the time that they could walk all the way up to
Going pro.
Yes. And what I'm trying to get at is, we're talking about 7 billion people in the world.
And growing.
Yeah, so you can pop off a name. You can pop off 100 names. Compared to 7 billion people in the world, I'm just being real that the amount of pain and sacrifice, the amount of suffering, the amount of problems that you're going to have to solve, the amount of shit that you're going to have to take, the amount of years that you are, because the girl that I was talking to about the meat market, she was like, I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to be my own boss. I was like, so you realize you're going to have to work twice as hard, and you're going to be doing it for minimum wage or potentially less than minimum wage for multiple years. And that's only to have the shot of putting the right pieces together to be able to get beyond that. Like, success in life is about being right more than you're wrong. And that's why I'm being this honest, because I'll tell 100 of you, you're not going to do it. And I'm right with 99 out of 100 of you. And I'm just trying to save you some pain by saying, look in the mirror, gauge yourself. Do you really have what it takes? Because if you view yourself as normal or average in any way, shape, or form, you don't have what it takes. Like, I'm here to tell you, the ones that have what it takes, we are fucked up.
Level of insanity.
In some way, shape, or form. Like I am, what was that? Because I was thinking about this, where I'm like, some would say broken. I am definitely a flawed man. I'm okay with myself. I am very self-aware. I understand vulnerability, but most would say that I am broken. If you sit down and talk to me long enough, you'll be fascinated by the way my brain works. You'll be fascinated by the way that I process risk. You might be intrigued with how quickly my systems are firing, but over time and getting to know me, you're going to be like, he's not quite right. He doesn't view the world through the same lens. And that doesn't make me a bad person. I'm just saying, like,
different.
I'm different. I'm wired different. I don't process risk the same way other people do. I do not process anxiety the same way other people do. I am not normal. I have never subscribed to normal. Honestly, I would more say deviant is a good word, because by and large, I really don't give a shit what society's opinion is. I am not trying to walk somebody else's path. I'm not concerned about the other paths, although I will look at them because success leaves clues. I have read hundreds and hundreds of books. The vast majority of the world doesn't even read. I can't remember the statistic, but I'm like, only like 0.01% of people read a book a year. I read multiple books a month. Why? Because I am starving for information, because I have got to this point where I'm like, don't fuck it up now. Like, success leaves clues. Like, look at the failures out there. Don't learn from other people's mistakes. You don't have to step into this pothole. You finally did start to see some traction. You've made just enough right decisions that your wrong decisions aren't burying you. Don't screw it up now. But I'm like, I'm not trying to be melodramatic, but I am trying to be very, very candidly real, that when we say, or you hear, this is not for the faint of heart, like, we're just being nice. Like, that is just the nice way of saying,
you ain't got it.
You ain't got it. You can't hack it. Like, and at this point, it is a point of pride. But it's like, when I look at it, the point of pride, like, you got to understand. And I mean, a lot of people that have accomplished a lot of things have faced a lot of tragedies younger years of their life. When I lost my son, like, I don't process pain the way other people do. I don't process pleasure the way other people do. I have a certain numbness that, like, you get tickled and you're like, hee, and I'm like, what are you trying to do? Like you scratch yourself. Oh, damn, that hurts. I'm like, what are you trying to do? And I'm speaking metaphorically, but literally as well. Like, you have to give me an extreme amount of pain before I realize I'm feeling pain. Why? Because I have already experienced enough mental and physical pain that there is a certain numbness that it takes an intense amount of pain for me to realize I'm feeling pain. By the same token, it takes an intense amount of pleasure for me to realize that I'm actually feeling pleasure. This is where I'm like, I know I'm fucked up. A woman could do something nice for a man, and you're like, you're expecting him to respond this certain way. And I'm like, well, I've had enough people do enough shitty things to me that I'm like, yeah, maybe I don't. Like, when somebody does one thing nice for me, I probably should do more to recognize that. But I've been stabbed in the back, and I've got so many scars that I'm like,
this is nice, but what's coming? Yeah,
exactly. That's like, because I really do get back to that no deed goes unpunished every time, because I understand empathy. Like, no matter what you see, I'd like to think that I'm actually a pretty empathetic person. Like, if I see you in pain and I don't think it was self-inflicted, I will give you the shirt off of my back. I legitimately care about people. But if you put yourself there, even if I do give you the shirt off my back, I'm going to be like, you dumbass, you realized you did this shit to yourself. And that's where I said, I do go back to that, like, because Stephanie said that to me. I was like, I understand I am not everybody's cup of tea. And she was like, yep, but you're somebody's shot of whiskey. And I was like, that's cool. That's nice. Sooner or later, I'll find that somebody, but I understand I'm a special breed, and it's going to take that in particular somebody to truly appreciate me, because part of that is I am a man. I am all about protecting and providing, but that also means I'm not going to take no bullshit either. And some people are just so apt to be people pleasers that that they don't want to be honest and truthful. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't play that either. That's,
well, and I mean, I feel like we went full circle there because it's like back to being grateful for what we do have.
yeah, no, that, well, but it's just like when we walked out, Skylar was like, I heard you unloaded on X and X. And I told her you wouldn't have said that to her if you didn't care. And I was like, no, I did. I said this, you're stupid. This, you're, what the fuck? This is, but I would not have even wasted my breath or my time if I didn't actually care about the individual. I would have just kept on moving because I have realized that, I mean,
hopefully they take it to heart.
I really hope. But because the thing is I am protecting my time and attention just as much as trying to make smart business decisions. And I'm like, no, in my head, the fact that I took the time to tell her, like, you're being stupid and you're fucking up and please get your head out of your ass and don't do that anymore.
Please stop.
Yeah, was because I literally do. I got a certain amount of respect for her. I want to see her succeed. And I took time to input. And that really was, I care. If I didn't care, I would just shake my head and keep on walking and be like, you're another fuck up that's just going to continue to fuck up and you're not my
20.
fucking problem. That's like, yeah, I'm just being honest about it.
Some people can't handle that.
And that's that right. And that's where it's like, it's funny. So, because I mean, I've got a team and I need to get that picture posted. It's about like core team, 7 people.
You just pretend it got posted right here.
That maybe that's, and you know what? I'll have to send you the picture so that you can pop that up. The one thing that they definitively know, do not expect to water me down. But they also know that when they are relaying to other people, that I leave it open to them to water down my communication.
Yeah, we have to.
Yes. But they appreciate me for who I am, and they don't expect me to water down my communication to them. But I do expect that my communication is so raw to them that they are going to water it down when they are relaying it to other people in the lower rungs of the bigger team itself.
Yeah, we have to constantly explain to people, he's not mad at you. He's mad at the situation that you and everybody else is in.
See, and that's and the thing is that
personal out of the what he's saying.
Because I take the personal out of it. I'm trying to solve problems. I'm trying to get to the root cause because nothing pisses me off more than expending time and energy on the word. It's not the cause. It's the
effect.
No, not the effect. The symptom. The symptom.
Okay.
Nobody should be wasting no damn time concentrating on the symptom. What's the root cause of the symptom? Focus all your time on the root cause. Don't worry about the symptom. That is an annoyance. It is a distraction. Focus on the root cause. Make that go away, and you don't have to worry about that symptom repeating itself.
Typically true.
I'm just being honest. Okay, let's wrap it up. The thing is that I mean, here we are. We're probably pushing 80 episodes, and I know
I think this is number 78.
Okay, I
feel pretty good at saying that.
And I'm still we're finding our way. I'm finding my way, and you know what? It's still it's going to change over time. But when people are like, well, why do you do it? Because it's my fucking podcast. That's why I do it. And I mean, I hope that the people listening, like, I'm coming at it from an average J, like, because I'm different, but I'm no better or worse. I'm coming at it from perspective, and you know what? There are things in life, and there are things that are fun to talk about. There are things that are serious to talk about, and I'm hoping that I'm offering some perspective. That I'm able to affect some people's lives and hopefully in a very positive way, because my overarching message is preaching self-accountability, because everything is respect, rapport, reputation. And I really believe that if you concentrate on those 3 things, that you will just live a happier, more satisfied, fulfilling life. And nobody can expect to be happy all the time. That shit is unrealistic. You find happy moments, but that's where the respect, rapport, reputation. Concentrate on that. You will have a fulfilling life. You will have a grateful life, but nobody's going to be happy 24/7. That's like, if you do the drugs that it takes to be happy 24/7, you'll be dead real quick. Like happy,
but you die by 27.
yeah, exactly. Because happy is about the drugs that are released in your brain in a moment, in an experience. Quit thinking that you're supposed to be happy all the time. America was about you have the right to pursue happiness, not the right to be happy all the time. All right. Please share the show, like the show, comment. I don't know. Like I said, we do keep an eye on pieces of it. So if you got comments or you got interactions, please feel free to chime in, good, bad, or indifferent. If you're obnoxious when I'm in a mood, I might give as good as I get. So I mean that's what. And other times I might just ignore it. But if it's a thoughtful response, there will definitely be a reply to a thoughtful response.
Grateful for where society is now.
Yes, exactly. Like, damn, like you can flush your shit and it goes miles
Literally
and miles
goes
away. Yes.
When it stays around, it's a bad day.
Yes, exactly. All right. Until next time, you guys have a good night.